הפודקאסט בחסות דאטה מדיה, המלווה ומייעצת לחברות בארץ ובחול בנושא אימייל מרקטינג, אווירות אימיילים ובחירה והטמעה של מערכות דיוור.
CRM.Buzz, בלוג ופודקאסט בנושא אימייל מרקטינג, אווירות אימיילים ושיווק. מגיש סלע יופי.
שלום לכם, אתם על CRM.Buzz, פרק מספר 221. והפעם סיכום שנת 2023 בפודקאסט, והצצה למה שצפוי בפודקאסט ב-2024. חדי האוזן ביניכם אולי שמים לב שאני לא מקליט בסטאפ הרגיל שלי, אלא אני עושה זאת תוך כדי שירות מילואים עם ערכה מיוחדת שלקחתי איתי. הנה סיכום שנת 2023. בשנת 2023 פרסמתי 46 פרקים, מתוכם 7 רעיונות עם מומחי אימייל מרקטינג, אווירות אימיילים ושיווק, ופרק מיוחד שכלל סדרת רעיונות שקיימתי במסגרת Deliverability Summit שהתקיימה בפראג ביוני 2023, וגם 2 הרצאות, אחת במסגרת וובינר שערכתי ללקוחות Active Trail לגבי הווי הכחול החדש בג'ימייל, והשנייה במסגרת אירוע של קהילת אימייל מרקטינג שהתכנסה בישראל. יתר הפרקים שהקלטתי הם גרסאות אודיו של מאמרים מתוך הבלוג CRM.Buzz. אפרופו וובינרים, אני מתכנן לערוך בקרוב וובינר על הדרישות החדשות של ג'ימייל ויהו ממדברים. אני מזמין אתכם לעקוב אחרי הניוזלטר של הבלוג, וכך תוכלו להישאר מעודכנים בכל מה שמעניין וחשוב לדעת על אימייל מרקטינג. במסגרת הניוזלטר אעדכן אתכם לגבי פתיחת ההרשמה לוובינר החינמי שאני עורך בנושא. גיל, תגיד להם מה צריך לעשות.
הקישו CRM.Buzz בדפדפן שלכם.
מה צפוי ב-2024? שנת 2024 מסתמנת כשנה מאוד חשובה לערוץ האימייל. אווירות לא הולכת להיות קלה יותר, להפך. ג'ימייל ויהו מציבות דרישות חדשות למדברים תחת ההגדרה בלק סנדרס. תהיה גם הפסקה של השימוש בקוקיז צד ג' בדפדפן כרום, הנושא הזה נדחה כמה פעמים. הדבר הזה ייצור שיבוש בשוק הפרסום המתורגת. עוד ב-2024 השקתי פודקאסט חדש באנגלית שנקרא emailgeeks.show. הפודקאסט יביא בעריכה מחודשת באנגלית בלבד את הראיונות שקיימתי עם מומחי אימייל מרקטינג ושיווק בינלאומיים. הפרק הראשון יהיה עם צ'אד ווייט ויפורסם במהלך ינואר 2024. גם הבלוג מתחיל להיצבע יותר ויותר באנגלית, ולאט לאט אני מוסיף מאמרים נוספים באנגלית. אחרי המלחמה אמשיך ברעיונות, וכבר קבעתי עקרונית עם מנהלת האווירות של קלאביו, עם מנהלת השיווק של סוקט לאבס ועם מנהל האווירות של נטקור. למעט דילוג 1 או 2 מתחילת המלחמה, אני ממשיך להקליט פרקי סולו. הנה גם את זה אני מקליט תוך כדי שירות מילואים, ומפרסם פרק חדש בכל יום רביעי.
CRM.Buzz.
זהו, סיכום השנה בפודקאסט. אביא כאן טעימות מ7 רעיונות ו2 הרצאות. מקווה שזה יעשה לכם חשק להאזין לפרקים המלאים. רשימת הרעיונות והכישורים להאזנה מתפרסמות בדף הפודקאסט בבלוג CRM.Buzz/פודקאסט. הפרקים המלאים משלבים רעיונות באנגלית בשילוב תרגום בעברית. נתחיל את סיכום השנה ברעיון קצר שערכתי עם ג'קוב אולקסה, מנכ"ל ומייסד מערכת הדיוור והאוטומציה מיילקיט, וחבר בכיר בארגון N3AAWG, ה-Message, Malware and Mobile Anti-Abuse Working Group. במסגרת Deliverability Summit שאלתי אותו על התקן החדש של DMARC שאמור להחליף את התקן הקודם. הנה.
So the DMARC 2.0, also called DMARC-BIS, is not that different from the current DMARC. It's backwards compatible. It just simplifies a lot of stuff that was not correctly understood by many or not properly used or was not implemented at all. So some of the features or attributes the percentage are going away because those were misunderstood and difficult to implement by the receiving side. The reporting interval is going away because that was essentially ignored by everyone, and everyone generated reports on their own schedule because it kind of makes sense. And there's a change in how the DMARC will be fetched from the DNS records. So this affects subdomains and their parent domains. And originally this was based on the PSL, the public suffix list, where either you had a DMARC record at that specific level you're from is, so at a subdomain, or it would go to the organizational level domain. But this gets tricky to understand and implement when you have multiple levels of subdomains, and led to confusions. Also, the dependence on public suffix list was a bit of a complication. So the new version will use tree walk. So it will look to the next level above, and then above, and then above, until it reaches the final one. Those are essentially the major changes in DMARC 2.0. I'm not involved directly with the IATF process, so I have no idea when this is going to be, when this becomes an RFC.
CRM.Buzz.
צ'אד ווייט, Head of Research at Oracle Digital Experience Agency. צ'אד הוא עיתונאי לשעבר, הוא בלוגר שמאחוריו למעלה מ3,000 מאמרים בנושא אימייל מרקטינג. הוא מחבר הספר רב המחר, אימייל מרקטינג רולס, שיש מי שמגדירים אותו כתנ"ך של אימייל מרקטינג. הספר יצא לא מזמן במהדורה רביעית מורחבת שכוללת 2 חלקים. בקטע שבחרתי עבורכם מתוך הפרק המלא עם צ'אד ווייט, הוא מדבר על טאב קידומי המחירות של ג'ימייל. הנה.
Yeah, I remember writing about tabs like when it came out, and my advice is the same as it was back then. The sky is not falling. This gives consumers a way to manage their email flows better. And I know there was a lot of talk about, and even sometimes today we hear folks talking about like, oh, how can I get in the primary tab? And way back in 2013, I compared the primary tab to being like knocking on someone's front door, being a door-to-door salesman, versus the promo tab being like the mall. I think most retailers, most e-commerce companies today would rather be in the mall than going door-to-door, knocking on people's doors and interrupting them. And I think that analogy still holds water today. Can your emails be more open if you land in the primary tab? Absolutely. But opens are not the goal, right? The goal is to be welcome and to be engaged with. And you can absolutely draw all kinds of negative attention to yourself by going around and knocking on everyone's door in a neighborhood. That's generally not the way to be successful. You really want to be where people expect you to be. I think in general, marketers, maybe catch a little bit of this from advertisers. They're like very obsessed about grabbing attention, and you'll often see things about like attention grabbing subject lines and things like that. And I don't think that it's about attention at all, because with email marketing, they've already opted in to hear from you. So the attention grabbing has already happened. And now it's a question of relevance. It's all about relevance, not attention-grabbing tactics. It's relevance tactics, which are different, because most of the time when people talk about attention grabbing, they're talking about stunts, they're talking about generating curiosity, and those kinds of things don't always support a respectful, ongoing relationship. So I would tell people not to be concerned about tabs at all. I sometimes hear people suggest that the promotions tab isn't the inbox.
Yeah, it's the spam folder.
Yeah, they think of it as being like the spam folder, and it's not. It's absolutely the inbox. And if people, really love your emails and they don't want it in their promo tab, they'll move you into the inbox. You shouldn't ask them; they'll just do it on their own. But like people, they want to control their inbox and they want to prioritize, and frankly, I think most brands, if you, again, are a retail or an e-commerce brand or whatever, like, I think you want to be in that promo tab because that's where people go when they're ready to shop and they're ready to make decisions. I think that's where you want to be when that happens. And like, it'll be on the subscriber's time rather than you trying to force the moment and interrupt them and butt in to the conversations that they're having, in their primary tab. So, yeah, that would be my rant about tabs. I think it's like massively overblown.
CRM.Buzz.
דלה קוויסט, שותף מייסד והאדוויזור של Alchemy Works, סוכנות האימייל מרקטינג הגדולה בעולם. בקטע שבחרתי עבורכם מתוך הפודקאסט המלא ששוחרר בשני חלקים, דלה מדבר על הנושא שמעסיק את כל מי שעושה אימייל מרקטינג. כל כמה זמן לשלוח דיוורים ללקוחות. הנה.
What's a lower cadence? What's a higher cadence?
A higher,
right?
Let's say 5 a week is...
Right, and lower is what?
One. Yeah.
1 a week.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take both of those numbers. 5 a week is, most people say, it's because, I don't want to do more than 5 a week, right? Then 1 a week is, no, they don't really want to, and I don't want to annoy them, okay? It's always, I don't want to annoy them. Everyone hates email, right? And when I have to do my best to not, it's like every email is a slap in the face. So the fewer slaps I deliver, the better. Now, here's the irony. You slap your more engaged people more than your unengaged people a lot, and you go, that's good because they're engaged. No, you're slapping them, right? You can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Email is good or it's bad. If it's bad, you're slapping them. And if it's good, then you know what? Give them more. That's the first thing. The second thing would be, I would say, if we had 2 identical marketers selling the same product, all things being equal, right? We create a situation where all things being equal, 2 brands are doing exactly the same thing. And they both start with 1. Okay? Brand A, working with me, finds a clever way to make it 6 for the active.
Yeah.
Brand B sticks with 5. Who's going to win?
I see.
Brand A.
Yeah.
Right? Simple. Let's take the 1. If I find a smart way of making them tolerate 2 emails a week rather than 1 email a week, who's going to win? Brand A or Brand B? Brand A.
Yeah.
So the question isn't how many, is how good can you be? And if your best is 1, you're an idiot. I'm joking, right? If your best is 1, I'm sure someone can do better than that. Okay? And if your best is 5, I'm going to try and do better than that with 6. I always use TV commercials because imagine going to a TV conference, right, of all these executives and advertisers and TV producers and the whole gig is selling advertising and sponsorships and all of that sort of stuff. And they turn around and say, you know what, viewers hate advertising, so I would recommend that you try not to buy very much airtime. Or magazine. You know something, instead of buying 12 ads, 1 a week for 3 months, right, just buy 1. Nobody would recommend that because of reach and frequency. So, and my favorite one is Geico, because if you've been to America, you'll know Geico, the brand. How do I know Geico, the brand? Because they're on TV all the time. How are they on TV all the time? Because they advertise all the time. In the UK, Go Compare does the same thing. So these are insurance companies that come from nowhere to dominate everyone's thinking. But their ad didn't remain the same for 10 years. They mix it up. They change it. They have a different one in the holiday season from here. They make jokes. They're in Super Bowl. They talk. They spend millions of dollars on creative to make their incessant advertising acceptable. But with email, no. All you can do is stop mailing. You can't be clever. You can't improve it. So I always say, sending more email, what you should be doing is constantly striving to send one more. It doesn't have to be a week. It could be a month, right? It's still one more email, and that email has to be clever. So, another example I give you is Valentine's. My friend Lauren McDonald told me this, and it was a client of his from back in the day. They sold chocolate. It's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
They set up a program to send one email an hour for 24 hours on Valentine's Day leading up to it, right? It was their best day ever. Did they just take the same email and mail it to everybody 12 times? No, they set up extremely complicated rules. If someone buys, do this. If they don't buy, then do this. If they open 3 times and don't do this, do that. That's what I call being smart. Hashtag do be smart.
Yeah.
CRM.Buzz.
ג'ו פוליצי הוא האיש שבזכותו המונח קונטנט מרקטינג הפך למטבע לשון. הוא מהמומחים המובילים בעולם לשיווק מבוסס תוכן, והמייסד של כמה סטארט-אפים ויוזמות בתחום התוכן, כולל The Tilt, אירוע ליזמים בתחום התוכן CEX, Creator Economy Expo, ובחברם של 7 רבי מחר, כולל Content Inc., Epic Content Marketing, ומגיש יחד עם רוברט רוז את This Old Marketing, פודקאסט שעוסק, איך לא, בשיווק מבוסס תוכן. בקטע שבחרתי עבורכם מתוך הפרק המלא, ג'ו מרחיב מהי גישת אימייל פרסט ולמה היא עדיפה. הנה.
It's actually really easy to do today because we've got some really good examples. And if you look at merger and acquisitions that happen in the media space in the United States, you see companies like, The Hustle being purchased by HubSpot, and you see companies putting a lot of money into Morning Brew, email first business, Politico, Industry Dive. You look at any one of these amazing companies that have been purchased, they're all email first companies. If you look at the way media companies have changed in the past 10 years, look at a company like a BuzzFeed, a Huffington Post, New York Times. Every one of these companies have gone from just a general digital marketing approach to, first and foremost, we are going to deliver valuable email newsletters so we can get somebody's email and make sure I have opt-in permission to communicate with them. It is a model that works. It's continued to work. You have some control over the business. You're creating more asset value for the business because you have that email. So if you're comparing one company to another, and let's say I've got one company, content creation company over here, and they're getting a lot of web traffic and they have a lot of social media followers, versus another company that has 10 different newsletters with high open rates and nice growing figures of subscribers, I'm always going to go with the email company. Those are the ones that are the most valuable, that you can actually have a business, to what we talked about before. Those businesses control the distribution of their content. If you are a company that has just social media followers, you can't control that. Maybe today you do, but tomorrow you might not. So you have to think like an entrepreneur. You have to think like a business person and move that over. So that's why when we created the subscriber hierarchy, I want to make sure we have email toward the top, and I want to take all these other Facebook fans and Instagram followers and YouTube subscribers and TikTok fans, and I want to take those, and that's fine, grow my audience there. But whenever I can, I want to move those people from those platforms to something I can control, and that's email.
CRM.Buzz.
אדריאן וויליאמס, מומחה לאווירות אימיילים. בקטע שבחרתי עבורכם מתוך הפרק המלא, אדריאן מסביר על חשיבות ההשקעה באווירות אימיילים, ואיך כדאי לבחור יועץ אווירות. הנה.
Because the industry is shifting, and I think that, we've been doing this for a while, and I remember especially it was 3-4 years ago when people contacted me, I was like, spam, is that a thing? You know, is people specialize in that? Like getting into the inbox? It's like, you know, and I gotta tell you, man, there's not many of us, because most of the ones are on the regulatory side. So when you go on LinkedIn and you follow the consulting there, they're regulatory side. They're gonna tell you it can't be done. You know, it's like, you know, it's like going to like a business lawyer and says, I want to set up a company and I want to get a loan. So it can't be done. You need this and this much asset. You made an expert to say, oh, no, there's a company that will let you borrow a deposit and you put it in. You can use that as a leverage to get a loan and you pay back. There's so many ways to skin a cat, right? So in your and I game, it's like, okay, how do we hack the system? You know, that doesn't mean you're a spammer. That doesn't mean you do something illegal. It just means that the way you think is about livability, and how you design your email program is around livability, not sales, right? So it's just a shift of thinking, and it takes experience, because you will have to like work with a lot of different programs and try different things. And this is not in any books, and it changes weekly, you know, and you have to have a network of people to talk to. What do you do? What do I do? La, la, la. We have to use bots to see where the email lands, and we have to do all kinds of stuff. And people on the regulatory side will not do that. Yeah. They will just tell you it's not going to work. You know, it's like you're sending emails to people and I can't help you. And
you're spamming people. Yeah, you're
spamming people, right? That's their thing. So I feel like you have to be cautious of who you find, and making sure, ask them what they've done before. If they work for an ESP, a regulatory side, or anything like that, don't waste your money, man. They probably don't have, and they speak because they have a title and they market their company. They don't speak because they work with hundreds of clients and actually be in the trenches to solve their problems. They haven't seen them in use scenario, and they say affiliate mailing is spam. So you won't get anywhere there, you know. And you can see it if they're talking about, don't use rented list, then don't use them. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with rented list, in my opinion, or cold list if you want. If you know what the list is about and you give them value and they want it and they open and click it, I don't see anything wrong with it. As long spamming to me is like, if you get a list and you just pound it with messages that's completely irrelevant to them, you keep sending and sending and sending. As long as you get through the inbox, you burn IPs, you burn domain, and you move from one infrastructure to another, and you're spinning content and do all that is spamming, man.
CRM.Buzz.
ג'יי שוודלסון, מייסד subjectline.com, כלי מוביל לדירוג וניסוח כותרות, כולל AI, מייסד World Group, שאחראית בין השאר על ועידת האימייל מרקטינג המקוונת, הגדולה בעולם, גורו קונפרנס. בקטע שבחרתי עבורכם, מתוך הפרק המלא, ג'יי משתף על חשיבות ההשקעה בכותרות אימיילים. הנה.
Marketers spend all their time on the creative, on their offer. They're trying to get legal approval. They're trying to make sure it all looks perfect and it's rendering in every platform you could possibly imagine. And then they finally get that all done. And then what do? They go, oh, we need a subject line. Let's spend 4 seconds writing this thing that is going to be the primary reason somebody decides to open or not. So the subject line, in many ways, is among the most important things that you're going to utilize right there. And so a couple of things. Some people think that doing things in the subject line to stand out are gimmicks, that you shouldn't do that because it's a gimmick. Or a marketer will be like, oh, I would never open that if I saw that. That really hurts marketing in general. The name of the game is, there's so many emails that are going out. What are you going to do to have your email stand out and not the other person's that's going out at the exact same time? What's that thing that's going to happen when the person scans their inbox with that millisecond that's going to say, oh, I want to open that? So some of the things that are working really, really well right now are personalization that is not about your name. For so long, marketers have been relying on personalization of the subject line. It would say, J, check out this whatever. Okay, but that every market, it worked. You rewind a few years ago, that would work great. But what do we do as marketers? Once we see something working, everybody jumps on board and they abuse it. And it gets to a point that it's wallpaper, and now it doesn't work as a tactic anymore. Right? And that's what happened with first name personalization for both business and consumer marketers in the subject line. But personalization in the subject line beyond name is a home run. What do I mean by that? If you are a business marketer, okay, or a consumer marketer, the sooner you could tell somebody who they are in the subject line, the more inclined they are to open up the email. What I mean by that is if your subject line is targeting, chief financial officers,
Okay.
and that subject line says, this is important for CFOs, right? Or for HR directors. HR directors need to know this. Or on the consumer side, perfect for new homeowners, okay? This is for people that are investors, all right? For new grandparents, whatever it is, it could be a life stage. It could be someone's job function or title for SMB owners. When you could tell the person that this is for you and not for everybody else, they immediately, it resonates with them when they open up. If I sent you an email, right? So if I sent you an email that says, email marketers need to know this, you're like, uh-oh.
I must
right?
open.
I'm going to open. I mean, there's no way you're not opening that. You're opening that up. And all you're really doing is personalization, but not with the name, but with what the person cares about or their interests or their career. And it is absolutely the easiest way to get an email open right now. And then of course you could do a million other things. We can get into brackets and making a question and all these different things. But that to me is a tactic that's underutilized that does really, really well.
CRM.Buzz.
גיא הנסון, סמנכ"ל Customer Engagement בוולידיטי, המובילה העולמית בנושא Deliverability. בקטע שבחרתי עבורכם מתוך הפרק המלא, גיא מרחיב על שיפור ההגעה לאינבוקס בג'ימייל.
I think if we look at the Gmail numbers that we see, overall, inbox placement rates are several percentage points higher at Gmail. They are roughly sort of 87, 88% compared to that 85% globally. And I think, one of the reasons for that is that, Gmail's filtering has always been highly effective. I think, they were one of the first businesses to adopt the use of artificial intelligence as part of their filtering processes. In fact, there's a story which often gets told about how their postmaster appeared at an industry conference and was kind of asked, what's the secret source of your spam filtering? What do you what should senders know to make sure they don't get caught with your filtering? And the response was almost amusing. It was, listen, sort of AI is now such an important part of our filtering that even if I wanted to answer your question, I couldn't, because the AI is continually learning and developing its rules, which was interesting to hear. But if you look at, you've only got to look at Google's Postmaster website and the advice that they give for good deliverability at Gmail is common sense, and it's similar to what you hear from the other major mailbox providers. It's all about having a robust consent mechanism. It's all about making sure you're using good quality data, sending to engaged subscribers, making sure that opt-out requests and complaints and bounces are suppressed with immediate effect, and making it super, super easy to unsubscribe. And I think, Gmail's put a lot of thought into its subscriber experience as well. I think, it was one of the first senders to, offer, do you want to opt out of this program because we haven't seen you engage for a while kind of technology. At the time, I think it made a lot of email senders nervous. It's going to shred our lists because it makes it easier for people to unsubscribe. But it didn't. What it did do was it did make it easier to unsubscribe, but by doing so, it brought complaint rates down, because, that's the alternative to opting out. When you can't find the unsubscribe link, you just go and hit the junk button instead. So it actually had a positive outcome.
CRM.Buzz.
דימיטרי קודרנקו, מנכ"ל ומייסד סטרייפו, האימייל אדיטור המוביל. בקטע שבחרתי עבורכם מתוך הפרק המלא, דימיטרי מספר על העתיד של עיצוב אימיילים.
It's easy easy answer. It's cheaper because they can ask the designer and they can create in a canvas very easy. You don't need to think about the fonts, about save fonts in your mail. You don't need how this, I don't know, it's proverb like Outlook is not so good. Yeah, you don't need to think about all versions of Outlook and check all the stuff. You should know huge things about coding in email. It's much easier to create image and send it, but you know how Gmail would understand something about your promotion if you just send an image. And just you have to care about your recipients. For example, for Ukrainian people, when internet connection is very restricted now, I open email and I just see that there is an image here and it's blocked
empty
because of empty.
Looks like empty email.
Yes. So I don't know. It's weird. I would never suggest people to do this, but yes, it still continue to. And from accessibility point of view, it's always small, especially on mobile devices. Text can be scaled very easy. It can be copied and pasted. It can be answered. It can be so.
CRM.Buzz.
קטע מתוך וובינר שערכתי בנושא הוי הכחול החדש בג'ימייל. אני לא מכיר מנהלי שיווק שישאלו את ה-IT, תגידו, יש לנו SPF ודיקים באליינמנט ובימי שכולל VMC ודימרק במצב אכיפה? הם כן ישאלו, תגידו, יש לנו וי כחול בג'ימייל? כלומר, מבחינתי, זה סוג של מפשט את זה, תשאירו לנו במרכאות למי שמבינים את הטכנולוגיה ואת הדקויות מאחורי הקלעים לטפל בזה, אבל מבחינת מנהלי שיווק, או נקרא לזה מיתוג של הנושא, אני חושב שזה מיתוג רענן. מבחינתי זה, או מבחינת כל מי שרוצה להגיע אל הפסגה הזאת, אל ה-V הכחול בג'ימייל, צריך לעבור אבולוציה של אימות הדומיינים, תכף אכנס לזה טיפה יותר לעומק. האימות, שימו לב, לא תלוי בג'ימייל, תכף נבין איך ולמה, כלומר ג'ימייל תציג את ה-V הכחול למשווקים, למדברים שעברו איזושהי אבולוציה. לא פשוט לקבל אותו. המדבר צריך לעבור סוג של מסע אימות, אני קורא לו, תכף נבין מה זה, לאמת את הדומיין בכל המערכות המדברות, לאמת את הלוגו של המותג, לקבל בעצם סימן מסחרי ולרכוש תעודת VMC, תכף נעשה סדר ונבין מה הם כל אחד מהדברים האלה. מן הסתם צריך לעבור פה אבולוציה של דימרק עד למצב אכיפה, גם את זה אני אסביר.
CRM.Buzz.
במסגרת מפגש קהילת אימייל מרקטינג, הרצאה 17 טעויות אווירות שלא תרצו לעשות. אדבר איתכם הערב על 17 טעויות די נפוצות בנושא אווירות אימיילים. אני חושב שהטעות הראשונה זה שמדברים, חושבים שמערכת הדיוור אחראית על האווירות. אני חושב שחלק מזה קשור לזה שהרבה מאוד אנשי אימייל מרקטינג עושים גם שיווק דיגיטלי, שיווק שמתבסס בדרך כלל על מערכות הפרסום כמו פייסבוק, אבל אימייל מרקטינג הוא אחר. צריך המון ידע, המון מיומנויות טכניות. יש אחריות למערכת הדיוור, כולנו יודעים את זה, מערכת הדיוור צריכה לתת פלטפורמה שצריכה לשלוח אימיילים, ומהעיניים שלי גם שהאימיילים האלה יגיעו ליעדם, שזה לאינבוקס ולא לספאם. אבל אחריות המדבר היא הרבה יותר גדולה, ואת זה אני חושב שהרבה אנשים לא מבינים. האחריות למעשה היא משותפת, לא צריך לעשות ככה אצבע מאשימה כלפי הפלטפורמה, האחריות היא משותפת. טעות נפוצה היא לדבר מדומיין שהוא חדש. דומיין חדש בא ללא רפיוטיישן, דומיין שהוא ותיק בא עם רפיוטיישן. לפעמים אנחנו רושמים דומיין שנראה לנו חדש, אבל יש לו היסטוריה. כדאי לבדוק את ההיסטוריה הזאת. יש מקומות שאפשר לבדוק את ההיסטוריה של הדומיין הזה. לפעמים הדומיין החדש הזה סוחב איתו איזושהי היסטוריה לא טובה.
CRM.Buzz.
עד כאן סיכום 2023 בפודקאסט CRM.Buzz. כאמור, ב-2023 פרסמתי 46 פרקים. אני מזמין אתכם לצלול לתוך 46 הפרקים, או אפשר ללכת אחורה, 221 פרקים נוספים. עד כאן להפעם. אני רוצה להודות לכם על ההקשבה, ועד לפעם הבאה, בשנה הבאה, שמרו על עצמכם ולהתראות.
אתם מוזמנים להירשם לבלוג שלנו. הקישור CRM.Buzz בדפדפן שלכם.
הפודקאסט בחסות דאטה מדיה, המלווה ומייעצת לחברות בארץ ובחול בפעילות אימייל מרקטינג אפקטיבית ואווירות אימיילים. אימייל דליברביליטי.